everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is my review for the 12th episode of the second season of Batwoman, titled Initiate Self-Destruct, or as it should have been called, We All Wear Masks. Way better title that actually fit with the theme of the episode instead of some random phrase that came up like once and I'm pretty sure had nothing to do with the actual episode. But ignoring the title, wow, I love this episode. It was such an improvement over the last episode. I'm so glad that the show is back on track. We had an Alice and Batwoman team up, the conclusion of the Angelique storyline, and we finally saw Wallace Day in action, not just lying on the ground. I know she's technically not Kate Kane yet, but I'll take it. So the description for the episode said, Brian is faced with a difficult decision that could expose her as Batwoman. Black Mask's plans for Kate Kane begin to unfold. Alice is reunited with someone from her past. Let's start off with Black Mask's plans because I love that opening scene. The music fit in so well. It reminded me of the old days of the Arrowverse because the vibe was just great. I love Black Mask's monologue about how throughout our whole lives we all wear masks to create false impressions, hiding our true natures. That should have been the title. The speech fits perfectly with Roman's character and the underlying theme of the season, which is corruption, mainly with the crows, but there's also Sophia and Enigma corrupting Beth's mind. Black Mask's whole plan is to remove those masks from people like the crows who've made the city believe that they're the heroes, but at the same time he's also wearing a mask because his vendetta has corrupted him, proving his point that everyone can be corrupted. I've loved everything that they've set up with Black Mask, and I really hope that they don't mess it up like they did with Sophia. I guess for anyone that didn't know, we finally saw that obviously Roman is Black Mask. Turns out his plan for Kate Kane was to take the body of the woman who killed his daughter and have Enigma turn her into his daughter, CIRCE SIONIS. I loved when Wallace said, "My name is Kate Kane." It's so in character for Kate to be resistant to Roman's brainwashing, but then he placed a mask on her and Enigma wiped her memories, replacing them with CIRCE's. The one thing that annoyed me was that Enigma told Roman that CIRCE's mask was his best work. I mean, it's definitely a masterpiece compared to what the false face suits are wearing, but come on, it's pretty bland compared to Roman's own mask. Now that's a work of art. I think one reason why I love the scene so much is that it reminds me of the 100 season 6 when Russell brought Josie back inside Clark's body. There were so many parallels, even to the point where both Josie and CIRCE were admiring their new bodies in the mirror with their father by their side. This was such a good scene, but of course we can't have nice things because the writers keep forcing Ocean into the plot. I guess they found a room after hooking up in an alley last episode and Alice was trying to sneak out before Ocean woke up, but then the false face dudes showed up to kidnap him because apparently Angie wasn't able to make a snake bite, but wasn't she gonna help them find Ocean? Anyway, onto a better ship. I love that since Sophie knows Ryan is Batwoman now, she kept throwing hints that she knows but no one picked up. I'm so glad that she wasn't mad at Ryan for not telling her or anything like that, and instead she was trying to help her out by stopping Jacob and Taberna from using the blood sample they found to figure out who Batwoman is. We got some Wildmore content with Sophie telling Ryan that Taberna was gonna extract the DNA from the blood sample because his racist ass decided that since Batwoman is a black woman, then she must be in the system, so they were gonna search for a match in the records. Problem is that his racist ass is right because Ryan was in prison, but Ryan wasn't listening to Sophie because Sophie had promised she would protect Angie, and she has a point because look where that got them. Instead, Ryan decided to focus on saving Angie while Sophie and the Bat team dealt with saving her secret. Sophie's initial plan failed, so Luke gave her a targeted kill drive to destroy the DNA sample by plugging it into Jacob's computer, but Jacob was being an ass and wouldn't leave his office, so Mary came in to show the crows they have no style. I love all her outfits, but this was probably my favorite, but the fact that she showed up just made it clear for Sophie that Ryan is Batwoman since Mary is her roommate. I wish we could have seen Mary and Jacob talk in his office, but at least we kinda saw them bonding in the clinic. My problem here is that Mary agreed to take the funding for the clinic. That literally ruined her point from their argument a few episodes ago, which I was defending her for. Meanwhile, Sophie managed to plug in the kill drive, but turns out a bunch of files were being uploaded at the same time as Ryan's, and deleting this one would delete all of them, including those of rapists and murderers. I have no idea how Luke still thought this was a good idea, but thankfully Sophie knew Ryan was Batwoman now, so she deleted Ryan's file just in time, and then went and called Taberna out on being a racist. I'm loving Sophie this season, and I'm guessing Jacob's gonna find out about this and kick her out of the crows. But Sophie also found out about Jacob's snakebite addiction and went to tell Mary. I love that Jacob yelling at her didn't raise any red flags for Mary because that's just how toxic he is, but now Sophie wanted to stage an intervention. Now back to Ryan, we had the unexpected pairing of Julia and Alice before, but now we got an even better team up between Ryan and Alice as they cross paths while trying to save their soulmates from Roman. I really love the dynamic of them as friends, I guess. Rachel and Javicia just played off each other so well, and we got to see Ryan being the responsible one for once instead of Luke. I think one reason this pairing works so well is that they're both broken women who have been through so much trauma, so they can relate to each other in a way that no one else on the show can with them. I also loved how excited Alice was to work with Ryan and to get to go in the Batmobile. It reminded me of how happy she was last season in episode 16, Through the Looking Glass, when her and Kate teamed up to rescue Mouse. Although that ended with Kate turning on her and leaving her in Arkham, I thought Ryan would probably do the same after seen Alice torture a false face dude, but instead she just recognized that Alice was in love with Ocean. Meanwhile, Alice joined me on the Riley ship train and recognized the parallels between Riley and Alice's relationship with Kate. Both Kate and Ryan were trying to make up for their failures in the past by now saving Beth and Angie. Then turns out I was right, and Ryan tied up Alice so that she could save their soulmates by herself and show Ocean that Alice is a monster. Unfortunately for Alice, we had the return of Kate Kane, who no longer cares about saving Beth and might have killed her if she didn't tell her where Ryan went. Some Walmart version of Dr. Alchemy had been recording Ocean and Angie while they made a new batch of snakebite and shot Ocean. Unfortunately, Caroline Dry still refuses to let him die, so Ryan arrived just in time to save them and destroyed the drugs. Why couldn't she have just rescued Angie? Somehow Ryan and Angie were able to see the non-existent chemistry between Ocean and Alice and told him to go save his girl. Ryan had bigger issues than him because CIRCE SIONIS showed up and we got Batwoman versus Batwoman. This was definitely the best fight of the season, maybe even of the whole show. Up until now, the fights have been pretty messy this season. The one between Alice and Ryan in episode 7 was the best, but the way it was shot was still weird. Now this fight was great. It was so well directed, the music choice was great. Both Ryan and CIRCE showed off their skills, but we could still tell that Kate is much stronger and skilled, and I love that she was using the same type of knives as Alice. This fight also reminded me of the one from the Arkham breakout scene in season 1, which was my favorite before, and that is so fitting because it's when CIRCE died. Also, while I might have said Roman's mask is better than CIRCE's, they really went all out on making her creepy due to the lighting and directing. It's what I wish they would have done with Roman and Rule Number 1. CIRCE was gonna kill Ryan, thankfully Alice showed up to save her, and I love her one-liner, never leave a woman who's been in captivity all her life with a hairpin. Now we got CIRCE versus Alice, and unfortunately for Alice, Ryan did not return the favor and left her to die even after Alice admitted she remembered Cora and regretted killing her. I'm so conflicted on this because on one hand, I completely understand why Ryan did that. Like she said, this is the bitch that killed her mother. It's not something she can move on from after working with Alice for not even a whole day. That trauma still haunts her to this day. It's the whole reason she picked up the cow. From Ryan's point of view, Alice is a monster. She's too far gone and not worth saving because she's a danger to society. Isn't it better for everyone to just let CIRCE kill her? It's the opposite of Kate's point of view up until the point where Kate finally realized that she couldn't save Beth and locked Alice up in Arkham. But that's exactly why I feel bad for Alice, and I'm kinda mad at Ryan. Alice had already been through this before. Like I mentioned before, this episode reminded me of Kate and Alice teaming up in Through the Looking Glass. Alice was just so excited to work with Kate, and then Kate turned on her and locked her in Arkham. It's like this happens every time she teams up with Batwoman, cause now Alice was so excited to work with Ryan, and Ryan did the same thing. But the thing is that it seemed like Alice actually thought she could change this time because of the influence of Beth's memories. Notice how she called herself an anti-hero? So I feel bad for her because Ryan basically told her, no, you can't change, you'll always be a monster. But it makes total sense for Ryan to think that way. I will say that I'm glad that Alice was not instantly redeemed just because she had her memories back. That would have been a really cheap way to do it, and I'm so glad that she still has to deal with the consequences and guilt of her actions. She didn't just forget all her actions as Alice and everyone forgave her, which is what I was worried would happen. Finally, we had the end of Riley, the best ship on the show. Ever since the storyline started, I've been like the one Riley shipper among Wildmore and Batmore shippers, so I was sad to see this relationship end, but I'm glad it had a good conclusion and they ended on good terms, leaving the door open for Angie to return, even though it probably won't happen. I'm especially glad that we got to see growth from Angie. When she came to see Ryan before leaving Gotham, like a typical CW hero, Ryan was blaming herself for what happened to Angie, but unlike Felicity Smoke, Angie admitted that it was her own fault. She got into this for the money and to have a purpose in life for once, but she knew what she signed up for. She knew her life and her loved ones would be in danger. She admitted it was her mistake, and now she had a second chance and witness protection, so she wanted Ryan to go with her, which is obviously a problem since Ryan is Batwoman. Angie made some great points. Gotham is a cesspool, who will want to live there? But Ryan is at least trying to improve the city so that kids won't have to grow up like them. I love that she said this because it's like it finally explains how she found her purpose as Batwoman. It's not just about getting revenge anymore. It's similar to Bruce, who wanted to prevent kids from losing their parents like he did. So obviously Ryan did not go with Angie and their relationship came to an end. Caroline Dryce ended the wrong ship. We should have lost Ocean instead. But like I said, this was a good ending for them. They're still in different places in their lives now, but they've both made progress. Honestly, this was probably the first Arrowverse ship that I loved this much since Laraver and Thunder Grace, other than Jordan and Sarah on SNL, but that's also recent. None of the Supergirl ships ever worked for me, and I like West Allen, but I don't feel anything special about them. It might kind of be because of my headcanon, but I really feel like Riley was so well developed, and for once, having them know each other since they were kids actually worked out, unlike Batmore, Laraver, and West Allen, because it added to the tragedy of their story. I thought this was a really good episode, and I'm so glad that it looks like the last episode was a one-time thing, and the show is back on track to give us yet another great back half of the season. Even though I'll miss miss them. I love the conclusion to the Riley storyline. I love seeing Alice and Ryan work together. That dynamic was great, and Wallace was so good at CIRCE. I wonder if she was doing her own stunts since Javicia does hers, and my only problem was her voice. At least they explained why she sounds like that, unlike Roman, but it was still weird. I also wish she ditched the jacket, because other than that, her outfit was great. What I really didn't like was how Mary gave in to letting Jacob fund the clinic, but I guess it makes sense in terms of the story. Glenn Winter did such a good job directing this episode. The visuals during the Ryan and CIRCE fight were so good, and just the choreography overall was great. These were the best fights the show's ever had. So yeah, I didn't have many problems with the episode. I'm also really glad that there seemed to be a good balance of screen time between Ryan, Alice, and CIRCE, who are basically the free leads, which just excites me for the rest of the season and the future of the show if they manage to keep it up. Cause let's be honest, Alice was the star of the show last season, not Kate. Well, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe for more videos on the season of Batwoman. Leave your thoughts on the video, the episode, or your thoughts on Ryan leaving Alice with CIRCE, and of course your thoughts on Wallace Day down in the comments below. Thanks for watching and have a good day. Goodbye.